How do you survive a job where one mistake means there's no second chance? For millions of workers in factories, mills, and warehouses, danger isn't a possibility. It's part of the job description. Machines don't care how experienced you are. Chemicals don't care if you've done this task 100 times. And when something goes wrong, it goes wrong fast. These 5 people weren't thrill seekers. They were professionals, routine, skilled, focused. But each one stepped into a situation that offered no warning and no way out. Because in the world of industrial work, the smallest oversight can lead to the most unimaginable outcome. Here are 5 real and devastating stories of workers who never made it to the end of their shift. In June 2019, 29-year-old Antonio Carrillo reported for work at a steel foundry in Houston, Texas. It was a standard shift. He was part of a crew responsible for transferring molten steel from a furnace into molds for casting. He'd done it countless times. Everyone on the floor had. But molten steel doesn't forgive mistakes or mechanical failures. That day, a ladle used to transport the liquid metal malfunctioned mid-transfer. Without warning, a structural defect in the container gave way. A wave of molten steel, superheated beyond 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, surged outward. Carrillo was closest. The steel splashed across his body in a matter of seconds. It melted through his gloves, his protective apron, his skin. The heat was so intense, it instantly caused third-degree burns over most of his body. His co-workers tried to reach him, but by the time they pulled him clear, there was nothing they could do. He died on the foundry floor, just feet from the furnace. OSHA later cited the company for serious safety violations, including inadequate maintenance of high-risk equipment and failure to inspect transfer vessels that were known to fatigue under stress. Antonio Carrillo didn't make a mistake. He was standing where his supervisors told him to stand, doing the job he was trained to do, but the equipment that should have protected him didn't. And if molten metal can kill without warning, imagine the force of a machine that pulls you in before you ever realize what's happening. In 2021, 42-year-old Robert Taylor began his shift at a major automotive supply plant in Birmingham. He was a maintenance technician, respected, reliable, and experienced. His specialty was the conveyor systems that moved thousands of parts through the plant every hour. That morning, Robert was sent to check on a reported mechanical fault in one of the lines. Standard procedure meant the conveyor should have been locked out, completely deactivated, before any human could approach it. But something had been overlooked. An emergency override had been engaged hours earlier during a rush order, and no one had reset it. The system, which should have been frozen, was still live. As Robert leaned into the machinery to inspect the issue, the line suddenly roared to life. The belts gripped the loose fabric of his uniform, yanking him into the rotating rollers. The pressure was brutal. Metal gears clamped down with force designed to move hundreds of pounds of steel. It crushed his chest, his limbs, and his spine. His co-workers heard his scream and ran to hit the emergency stop, but by then it was far too late. Robert died before paramedics reached the plant. The post-incident report confirmed it. There was no lockout, no signage, no reset protocol followed. One unchecked switch led to a fatal cascade of events, and while machines can malfunction, human error can also be just as deadly, especially when one wrong move triggers a catastrophic chain of events. In August 2018, 34-year-old Jessica Ford arrived at a distribution warehouse in Illinois before sunrise. She'd worked there for over 2 years. Reliable, on time, and always willing to take the early shift. Her job that day was routine: scan and sort shipping boxes from an upper-level mezzanine. The platform sat 15 feet above the main warehouse floor. It had no guardrails, no harness points, no netting, just a narrow steel catwalk and a long drop to concrete. While lifting a mid-sized package to place it on a sorting rack, Jessica took a half-step backward. She slipped. There were no barriers to stop her fall. She tumbled off the platform and landed headfirst. The impact caused instant, catastrophic brain injury. By the time co-workers reached her, she was unconscious and barely breathing. She died minutes later in the ambulance. OSHA investigators later found that the company had been cited before for the very same mezzanine. The safety railings had been removed during a past remodeling phase and never replaced. No temporary protection was put in place. No warning signs were posted. She fell because the people responsible for her safety thought 15 feet wasn't far enough to kill, and while her death was fast and silent, the next case is far worse because it wasn't a fall or a machine. It was a sealed chamber, and what happened inside was brutal, slow, and irreversible. On October 11, 2012, Jose Milena, a 62-year-old maintenance worker at a Bumblebee Foods factory in Santa Fe Springs, California, was doing what he always did, prepping equipment for the next shift. At around 4 a.m., Jose entered one of the plant's massive industrial ovens, a pressure steam chamber used to sterilize tuna cans. What he didn't know was that co-workers, unaware he was inside, sealed the chamber and turned it on. By the time anyone realized, it was too late. Jose was trapped inside as the temperature inside the chamber rose to over 270 degrees. He was cooked alive for nearly 2 hours. When the machine was opened, his remains were found among stacks of processed tuna. The company was fined $6 million, the highest ever for a workplace safety violation in California at the time. Investigators determined there was no proper lockout-tagout system in place, no alarms, no double checks. But while this death was sealed behind steel, the next one was open, public, and instant. A worker, a faulty lift, and a piece of glass that would slice through everything in its path. In December 2007, 46-year-old glazier Mark Basile was working on a high-rise construction site in downtown Chicago. His crew was unloading massive panes of commercial-grade glass, each one nearly 800 pounds. It was a standard lift. The glass was rigged to a crane, suspended above the work area, but something slipped. One of the glass panes detached from its rigging, falling without warning. It struck Mark in the neck and upper chest, pinning him against a steel beam. The glass shattered on impact. Co-workers ran to help, but there was nothing they could do. Mark was killed instantly. The investigation revealed that a fastening clamp had failed due to improper tension, something that should have been triple-checked. A missing bolt, a minor miscalculation, and 1,000 pounds of force sealed the outcome. And if a single pane of glass can kill that quickly, imagine a vehicle tipping at the edge of a slope, with the operator still strapped inside. Each of these workers followed routines. They weren't thrill-seekers. They didn't take shortcuts. And yet, they paid the price for systems that failed, checks that were skipped, or environments that no one took seriously until it was too late. In industrial work, danger doesn't always look like danger. It hides in routine. It waits in the quiet corners of maintenance logs and outdated safety policies. And when it strikes, it doesn't give warnings. So the next time someone says, "It's just another shift," remember these names, these stories, because for them, it was just another shift until it wasn't.